The polka-dot jersey is one of the most recognisable prizes in sport. In French, it's known as the maillot à pois rouge, simply the jersey with the red dots, also known as the best climber or the king of the mountains. Now, the king of the mountains classification has been around since 1933, but the jersey itself wasn't awarded until as late as 1975. But the question we're going to ask is, does the best rider always win the king of the mountains? Well, sometimes yes, but sometimes no. And here is exactly how you go about winning it. The final polka-dot jersey goes to the rider who has accumulated the most amount of points throughout the 3 weeks on various different climbs throughout the race. Now, there are 5 different categories of climb in the Tour de France, starting off with the easiest, 4th category, then 3rd category, 2nd category, 1st category, before we have the hardest, which are called HC climbs, or hors catégorie, or without category. Tour de France legend has it that the way they came up with this categorization of 1, 2, 3 and 4 was the gears that they needed to drive up the climbs in the recon in a Citroën CV, with obviously first gear being the most brutal mountains. There are no defined parameters or gradients related to the direct categorization of climbs. In fact, a 3rd category climb that could fall midway through a flat stage at the beginning of the Tour de France, if it were to be positioned midway through a mountain stage in the last week of the Tour, it might not get any points at all. And also, conversely, a 1st category climb positioned towards the back end of a really hard mountain stage, if it were to be at the beginning of another stage in a subsequent year, it may only get 2nd category status, as it could have less bearing on the outcome of the race. For a 4th category climb, only 1 rider gets any points, a solitary point. For a 3rd category climb, the first 2 riders across the line get points, 2 and 1. For a 2nd category climb, it's 5, 3, 2 and 1. For a 1st category climb, it's 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. And finally, for an all category climb, it's 25 points for the win, 20 for 2nd, all the way down to 10th place, and they get 2 points. However, it doesn't end there. On the 4 summit finishes at the 2016 race, the points across the finish line are doubled. Now, this was something that was introduced a couple of years back by the Tour de France organiser. Now, it was in an effort to redress the balance between breakaway riders who used to go out the road and take all the points, and the GC riders who are generally considered to be the better climbers. And in fact, the Tour de France organisers seem to have got it right, because in last year's edition of the race, Chris Froome went out not only the winner, but also the winner of the polka-dot jersey. The fact that the first week of the Tour de France is much flatter, relatively speaking, means that many different types of rider are able to spend a day, or at least a short spell, in the mountains jersey, before the pure climbers come to the fore in the Alps and the Pyrenees. To see how to win the maillot jaune, the general classification of the Tour de France, how about clicking just up here? And for a veritable cornucopia of all things Tour de France, how about clicking just down here, and you'll find our Tour de France playlist. And subscribe to GCN, how about clicking on the polka dots just over there?